Islam Makhachev. When I say that name, a lot of you might think a lot of different things. Some of you might say that he's the lightweight goat. I think he's the lightweight goat, especially with his fourth title defense and the fashion that he's beaten fighters and the quality of fighters he's beaten. Others of you might say that he's the best fighter currently in the UFC of his generation. I could also agree with that. He's proven it through his career. But there's one thing people don't seem to talk about. It's how unlucky Islam Makhachev has been through his career, and the disrespect he's faced for things that aren't in his control. And today, we're going to discuss that.
Careful that he doesn't punch himself out. Oh! Massive knockdown for Topuria! And still, he does it again! Ilya Topuria!
Islam Makhachev had one of the greatest starts to a title run you could ever ask for. He went out there and faced Charles Oliveira.
Fight win streak. I'm ready for title fight. Please, anyone, doesn't matter. Because this division now little bit sleep.
And Charles Oliveira is one of the greatest lightweights to ever exist. And he went out there and dominated him. As we have a lot of people, including myself, thought Oliveira was going to win him. But that didn't happen. Islam went out there and knocked him down and submitted him in the second round. That's insane. He submitted the submission artist. That's completely unfathomable to a lot of people. A fight people still don't give him enough credit for. And then he fought Volkanovski. A closer fight, but a dominant in the sense that you can tell that Islam clearly won the fight. And people don't give him enough credit for this fight. People always talk, including me, about how great Ilias Kapuria's first two title fights were against Volkanovski and Max Holloway. But Islam fought Oliveira and Volkanovski in their prime when they were at the top of their careers. People don't give him enough credit for those wins, and that's one of the most impressive wins in UFC history. In fact, if it's not in your top 10, you should really rethink what you have in your top 10. But then he beat Volkanovski, and this is where the unluckiness of his career started. Granted, there were rounds when Volkanovski looked good, and people started to call it a robbery. It wasn't a minority, but it was still discrediting the win of Islam Makhachev, a win that was great and should have been appreciated. A lot of people thought it was a robbery. And people didn't give him credit that he deserved. People were so focused on the fifth round, what Volkanovski did, they don't remember the previous four rounds where Islam won the fight. But the real unluckiness started when he had the rematch with Oliveira. Well, supposed to be rematch. 2 weeks before the fight, Charles Oliveira got cut over the eye and had to pull out of the fight. And Volkanovski stepped up because he's got that dog in him and wanted to face Islam Makhachev. And Islam went out there and knocked him out in the first round. Volkanovski, someone who looked unstoppable. People thought he was going to win a rematch, even in the short notice. And he went out there and dominated him in the first round. And people discredited him for this win. What was a great win. People said it was because it was short notice, that's why he knocked out Volkanovski, which is wrong. Islam had such a great game plan. It exposed a hole in Volkanovski's game, and that's why he could able to land that kick and knock him out. People don't give credit to how smart Islam Makhachev is, and this is where the haters started to come out. They told he only defends against featherweights, he never defends against a lightweight, and then another unfortunate event happens. It's booked against Dustin Poirier and has staph infection. But not only that, Islam is related to Khabib in a sense. So there will always be comparisons between the two, which is such a discredit to Islam Makhachev. He's his own being and his own fighter. But unfortunately, being related in a sense to Khabib, people are always going to compare the two. So leading into this fight, if he didn't show a more dominant performance than Khabib did against Dustin Poirier, people were going to discredit him and call him worse than Khabib. Even though they were facing two different types of Dustin Poiriers, with this one being more experienced and a better fighter overall, as he had more experience and time to build himself. Granted, I do think if Khabib faced this one, he would also win, but less easy. Dustin went out there and did well against Makhachev, and people started to discredit him, calling him like, how was he losing against someone that Khabib dominated? But he went out there and submitted him in the fifth round. And he outstruck Dustin Poirier in most of those rounds. Think about that. He outstruck one of the best boxers and one of the most well-renowned boxers in the lightweight division history. And he outstruck him in a few rounds. People don't give him enough credit, and this is furthering the line where he only defends against featherweights, because Oliveira was a featherweight and Dustin Poirier was also in featherweight. People just want to discredit him for some reason. I swear people hate Islam Makhachev, even though he's one of the most entertaining champions we have today. But the worst case to so unlucky Islam Makhachev is his fight against Arman Sulik. Well, supposed to be fight because Arman broke his back or something, apparently. So Islam was forced to take a short notice fight against Renato Moicano. Now, Moicano's a great fighter, but he's nowhere near the top 5 of lightweight. Maybe he beats like a Justin Gaethje or something. But he was someone not deserving of a title shot, but it was given to him because he was the only option. Islam was doomed from the start for this fight. If he didn't go out there and destroy Renato Moicano, and Renato and Moicano had any sense of success against him, he would get hated on. People would call him trash. Like, how is he losing, or so how does the ranked number 10 fighter do something good against a champion? Where Khalil Roundtree, who was number 8, had a lot of success and took rounds out of Alex Pereira. This bias towards other fighters is evident in this case, especially against Islam, because Islam is a great fighter and he's one of the most entertaining champions. Luckily, he went out there and destroyed Moicano in the first round, submitting him. But he had a slip, and people commented about that, told it was a knockdown. I thought it was a knockdown in this time because I was so scared of something happening, because I do enjoy Islam's fights. But then people started to question his entire title run, saying he only takes short notice fights. But he can control that. He still went out there and destroyed the people on short notice. With both the short notice fights, he ended in the first round. If this doesn't show you the caliber of fighter that Islam is, then I don't know what will. Islam is underappreciated for how good he is, the amount of skill he has, and what he has done for the UFC. Because a lot of fighters won't take short notice fights, like John Jones. John Jones wouldn't ever take such a short notice fight. Not 2 weeks, not one day. In fact, he didn't. The first time he had to take a short notice fight, he didn't take it. Islam is a perfect example of what a champion should be. And he should be respected for that. No matter what your opinion is, Islam's career is great, but he's just very unlucky and couldn't show off the full potential of how good he is. Whether that's from short notice opponents or being compared to the great Khabib, there's a bunch of different reasons. But we can all agree that Islam Makhachev is one of the greatest fighters of our generation. And the fight between him and Ilya will determine who is the greatest fighter of this generation. And that's a close fight, even though I will be biased because I love Ilya. But it doesn't take away from the fact that Islam Makhachev is great, and I believe no one can beat him in lightweight except maybe Kapoorov, because I'm biased. Now, thank you all for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the video.